Welcome back. Today we're going to start adding some more adventurous things for our players to interact with. We're going to add some jumping obstacles for our player. Our end goal is to create something like this based upon the tutorial from the core things. Now before I jump in too far, I'm going to make a few minor changes to what I did in the first episode or first part of the tutorial, and I'm going to go in here and I'm going to select paint in my terrain editor under edit, and I'm going to go over here to leafy grass, because right now I really don't like the grass coming up through the spawn point, and I'm going to be putting a cylinder over here for the player to jump on too. So let's get that cleared off so that the grass isn't coming up through that. There we go. We can leave a little bit of grass there. Let's use that to help the player figure out where they should and should not go. So if I wanted to have grass over here, because I don't want them running over there, that would be great. Okay, so let's begin by creating some organization in our workspace. Now, as we said in the first tutorial, the workspace is where our world is, and this is over in your Explorer. We're going to go to the workspace and click on the plus side, and we're going to add a folder, and this folder is going to hold the world. And if you double click on that, you're going to be able to change the name of that. Naming is very important so that we can keep track of it. And then these folders can hold anything in the environment. Models, scripts, whatever we need it to hold. But if we want to have something more specialized, like the basic geometry that we're going to be using here in just a few minutes to plan our world out, we can use models. So I'm going to search for the term model. There it is. And these can only hold basic models. Now, on your menu up here at the top, you've got the part. If you click on the down arrow, you can see the basic geometry that you can select from. We're going to go with the cylinder in our environment, and there you can see it created that part, and we're going to drag that up here to model. And I'm going to rename that level 1. Level _1, and we're going to be very consistent in our naming because that makes life much, much easier. So there's level 1. It's a little bitty cylinder there. Let's make that a little bit larger. So I'm going to scroll down in my properties, and I'm going to go to the size. Roblox units are approximately 28 centimeters, or about 11 inches. Now this is different than you'll find in most game engines. Most game engines use a unit of 1 meter. So Unity, Unreal, when they talk about units, they're usually referring to 1 meter. In Roblox, we're talking about 28 centimeters. So we're going to use that for our basis for making this. So any adjustments that I make to this, that's going to be in Roblox units. So let's make this a little larger. First of all, we're going to center it. So I'm going to go over here to move, and I'm going to move that over here. There we go. And do notice that right now X is up. X is pointing up. That's our red line. Y and Z are here. So when I'm changing the sizes of this, any size changes that I make, the X, well, let's show. If I make that, say, 50, you can see it makes it a lot taller. So I'm going to take that back down because I want my player to be able to get up on that first level real easily. So let's set that to 5. It's not too tall. And then let's make this, I don't know, 100? Let's try 100. And then we'll change Z and 100. Oh, that's a little too large. So let's jump that back to 75. And a lot of this will always be trying to figure out what's the right size for your game. And that's a little higher than I want, so I'm going to take that down. I want the player to be able to get up there on the first level. So anytime you need to get back to your level, just simply click on it in the Explorer and it'll show you all the properties that are available to it. And let's set the orientation on that. That's the what direction it's pointing, and I want it to be 0, 0, 90. There we go. That's looking great. And then you can play with the position so it's right, fits right for your island. Let's move this spawn point over here just a little bit. And you can just drag it to where you want it. There we go. So that the player doesn't start out right there on top of it. We got to give them a little space to move around in. Now remember, the goal of our game is we're going to give the players some coins. As they go around and pick up coins, they get more powerful jump abilities. So each of our levels are going to be a little higher up for them to jump. So to be able to jump, they need a few coins. Once they got some more coins, they'll be able to jump more. And we'll address all of that in our scripting in the next session. But for right now, we're just going to work on getting this gray boxed and looking the way that we want it to look. So we've got level 1. Let's add a few more levels. So I'm going to go over here and I need a level 2. Let's go back to our model. And then we're going to go over here to part. Now, because I selected cylinder last time, by default, if I click on the part again, it will give me a cylinder. If I want something else, I can go down and select that something else. But I do want a cylinder. So let's click on a cylinder. There we go. And you can see the cylinder's now on top of the first cylinder, and it has been named part. I want to name this one level 2. And we'll drag that up underneath model so that it's all in the same folder. There we go. And let's change the size of this, get the size a little bit bigger. Now our first model, and you can always reference back to it, it came out 575, 75. So we want level 2 to be, let's make that, they've got to be able to start jumping up. We want them to be able to actually be earning their coins. So let's make that 20. And then 50 and 50. And then I set our orientation to the same as we had last time, 0, 0, 90. And that might be a little tall. Let's see what it looks like from the side. That's not too bad. I can live with that. We can always adjust it more later. So there's our level 2. Let's go ahead and look back at our planned environment. Okay, looking at my planned environment, that's a little too high. So let's bring that down a little bit. There we go. And let's go ahead and add another cylinder. Yay! This will be level 3. So level 3, and we're going to make this one bigger. Let's make this one 40, and this one's going to be a little smaller. We're going to make this 40, 40, 40. Now remember, you can always hit the triangle off the side, and that'll show you everything. And where to go? Oh, it went underwater. What's it doing over there? Bring it back over here. And I want the player to have to jump up a little higher. They need to have collected some more stuff to be able to do this. Again, set our orientation to 0, 0, 90. There we go. That might be a little too high for this third jump. And then we're just going to keep adding more cylinders until we've got the basic environment. So I'm just going to add a few. You do follow along and watch what I'm doing if you're not sure, but make your own level. Make your own area for the player to explore. Okay, this is a great place to start. Now, a few things that I want to show you. If you want to focus on one specific of the objects that you have created, you can select that inside your Explorer, and if you press the F key, that focuses or moves you to looking just at that specific object. Next thing let's do is let's click on our model. Now when I click on model, that selects everything that's inside that folder of the model that we created. And I want to set an anchor. When I turn on anchor for these objects, that means that they're no longer going to be affected by gravity. They are they're in other game engines they're referred to as static objects. They will not move. These are things that players can jump off of. They're not impacted by physics. So I can shoot them, I can push them, I can jump off them. They're not going to slide or move around inside the environment. Okay, now that we've got a basic structure here, there's just two more things I want to show. First of all, if you go over here to the Model tab, you'll find that there's an Align tool. Now the Align tool, which is down here at the bottom, you can pull that up, allows you to align your different objects so that everything is aligned more easily inside the environment. We can also do some really cool things with creating a tunnel. Now I want to create a tunnel through this object, which I'm currently calling Blocker, because it blocks access to the rest of the map. So I need to create a tunnel through that. Now the tunnel should be larger than your base player size so that they don't have any problem going through it. So we're going to jump back here to home, and I'm going to create a part, and I want to use a block part for this one. So I'm going to select block, and there it is up there at the top, and we're going to position this. Now this needs to be large enough, as I said, that the basic player, and let's there now we can see it. Use the F key to move around easily, and I'm going to use my scale to make this go all the way through, make it wide enough for my character, and also need to make it tall enough for the character. That should be about right. And we need to rotate this so that it moves smoothly between my two cylinders in the environment. So I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to call this tunnel. And we're going to move the tunnel onto our model. And then I need to rotate this just a little bit. Now currently this is its position. We're going to move that in just a second. And we're going to rotate the y-axis. Now we can use the rotate key, but by default the rotate does it in pretty big jumps. And I'll show you how to change that later. But for now, I'm not going to worry about that. Instead, I'm just going to jump down here, and I want to rotate it instead of -35. I just want to do -5. How's that look? Does that look like it's lined up pretty good? Let's try that. Move it into position. We'll move it down. See, it's still sticking out there. That's what we want. Get it pretty close to level. If you lose it, just reselect it in your Explorer, hit the F key, and it's still a little high. So let's move that down just a little bit. Looks like I need to bring this particular block 4A up a little bit. Just a smidge. There we go. And that's looking pretty good. I like that. I like the height. It might be just a smidge off, but it's not far. Now, with your new tunnel selected, let's jump over to the Model tab. With that selected, we want that to be a negative part of the model. This is how we make holes through objects. So hit negative, and then you're going to see it turn red. Now, the next thing that Roblox needs to know is, what is this going to go through? It does not automatically assume that it's going through the cylinder that I've already got it set at. So I'm going to hold down on the Control key and select Blocker. And that has both of these objects now selected at the same time. And we want to make these into one object, or fuse them into one single part. So we do that, and Ta-da! I have a hole through a tunnel through one of the cylinders. Isn't that cool? So cool. Okay, we're going to save. And then we're going to play test. So, hit the play. There's my character. And we're going to jump around. And that might be too tall. Oh, I made it. Yay. Jump. Ah! And now eventually I'm going to have to up the jump tool on that. So my size was a little bit off, or the distance was a little bit off. Let's move that over for play testing. That was block 3. Move that over just a little bit so that I can make that distance. That's one of the cool things about play testing. You get to figure out what went wrong and what went right. There we go. And we know we can jump up there. Yes! And we can jump again. Yes! And he's doing great. And run through the tunnel. Oh, it looks like I got a problem somewhere in my tunnel. Let's figure out what that is. Okay, here's what I did wrong. When I was creating the model, I tried to take a shortcut that Roblox Studio did not like. So it is not properly registering the tunnel. To fix the problem, we're going to exit our play mode, and I'm going to come back here to the union, and I'm going to delete the union, the whole shebang. Right click, delete, now it's gone. To fix the problem, we have to, the top of the cylinder has to be made available inside. So back here to home, let's go to part, cylinder. We'll redo our sizes on this. Let's make this 75, 45, 45. That looks pretty good. Change our orientation back to 0090. There we go. And how's that? That looking pretty good. Yeah, our player might be able to jump there, so let's move this over. Now, the goal is we need the top of this cylinder to be around just a little bit above the height of our player. So we're going to pull that down. There we go. And we're going to go back here to our parts. We're going to get another block. Get that block over here. It's a long ways away. Pull it over here. Isn't this nice? I'm teaching you how to troubleshoot and fix the problems of objects that happens all the time when you're working with something like this. So there's my object. Let's scale it up so that it goes all the way through the cylinder. There we go. Make it as wide as our character, and we need it to be as tall as the remaining block. Slide it down there. That's a little too low. Let's bring it up just a little bit. There we go. We need to rotate it just a smidge, so I'm going to go down here to orientation, and on the y-axis, let's try -10. How's that look? Pretty close. Might go 15. There we go. How are we looking now? It does not go all the way through. That's bad. Now it goes all the way through. Now, does that look wide enough? It's definitely not tall enough. So let's go back here to scale. Make that just a little wider. Make it up to the top of our column. Good. And it's okay to go a little bit above. That's fine. Now we'll go back here to model. Go to negate. See, it's all turned red. Select our part. So we've got it all selected. And then we're going to click on union. Now it goes all the way through. And we'll go back here to move. Pull union back up here. And rename this back to my blocker. Let's call it tunnel. There we go. And now when I hit play, and I did move my, whoops, I made another mistake. I know, shocking, right? Tunnel has to have anchor. It was being affected by gravity, so it was disappearing into the ocean. So with the tunnel selected, make sure that you hit anchor, and now that should work. There we go. There, and now we can run all the way through. Yes. Stop there for a second, but he can run through. Yay. Okay. Now we got the play testing done. We know it works. Now we can go ahead and, if we want to add a cap to this so that it looks a little nicer, we can go back here to home, part, select our cylinder, and we'll put a cylinder on top. Yes, that is my puppy in the background. He's brand new and adorable and rotten as can be. There we go. Move it to where it's sitting on top. And this is just what we do for game development. Constantly fiddling with things, making it the way we want it to look. And have that sit there on top like a hat. Could go the exact same size, it doesn't really matter. We do want it sitting on it. Down just a smidge. And again, we want to make sure for this part, and we'll call this topper, or we could even make it a union with our tunnel that we've done previously. There's topper, and make sure that the topper is anchored so it doesn't fall. I don't think it would fall, but it might. There we go. And now it's got a top to it. Isn't that cool? And now we can run through our model. And there we go. Playtesting. Okay, that is part 2. We're starting to get the gray box done. The next time we're going to start getting into scripting and making it look really cool, adding some visual effects, things like that. So good job. You're learning how to create games for Roblox.